Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that others don't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us, not just in some of us, but in each and every one. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. There are only two types of event planners, those that are trained and those that are not trained. And today I will be your trainer for your event planning certificate renewal course. Now, many of you had me as your initial instructor, so I want to congratulate you and welcome you back to Correlations for additional formal training in the area of event planning. Now, the renewal course, if you were to take it in person, can take anywhere from 90 minutes. But since you'll be watching it via video, you'll get the chance to just dive right into the core of the course, and we'll include some of the refresher things, which are the event income, which is my favorite, the top 10 things every event planner should know, and the portfolio development, which is something that you can jump into later. But I want to jump right into the packet that was sent to you, and this won't take a lot of your time, okay? After you're done watching this video, you will need to send me an email to helena.paschal@correlationsllc.com to request your assessment. After you've completed your assessment, I will grade it, and if you've passed it, you will get a new certificate that acknowledges your 2 years of consecutive training with Correlations. Okay, so if you'll go into your packet on page 3, when it comes to identifying event goals, now you're more in event management mode. So when it comes to identifying event goals, you need to know exactly what are the goals of your clients as far as creating the event. What do they expect at the end of the event? Okay, so I like to know what is the desired outcome, what are your long-term values that you're expecting from the event. Usually they're going to say, you know, more money, they want more leads from the event. You'll get an idea, but ask them what their specific goals are. Ask them about the date, time, and the location of the event, and ask them to identify any kind of marketing that they want in place for the event. I'm not sure if you remember, but marketing is the #1 reason events fail, so you want to be a part of it. And if you already have a strong background in marketing, this is the place to bring it into event planning. Okay, as far as page 4 is creating and presenting proposals. We didn't talk about proposals in the beginning because I didn't want to overwhelm you with too much. But now you're in event planning mode, and maybe you have clients and maybe you still haven't gotten one client. The thing to do right now is to create a proposal. That's going to be composed of your actual contract and timeline. So you would just create a contract, and that would include all of these basic things, which is writing the introduction, discussing the background. The contract pretty much does that. And then a timeline would explain the ideas that you're trying to manifest by planning their event, okay? You help them create a picture of what the event's going to look like, and then what's in it for the client, and you provide that timeline. But basically, my proposals are simply just the contract and the timeline put together in a uniform style, okay? But for people that you're thinking about, maybe you want to do something with your local Coca-Cola or Pepsi or your bigger corporations, you can propose that you can do something for them. Maybe you've seen that they do the local Race for the Cure, or maybe you've seen that they do local charity events for children's medical centers or for homeless children, or maybe you've seen something that they've done in the city, and you can present a proposal as the event planner that can do that for them going forward. So that's all it is just a contract in your timeline. On page 5, as far as contracts and vendor agreements, the contract that you had before, we only required a small deposit when people wanted to work with you, at least 10% of the deposit. But now, after 2 years of experience, you can require 50% of a deposit the moment that they sign the contract. You should feel confident, you should feel competent and experienced now to be able to charge upfront more because you do so much in the beginning, okay? And that's the basics for that. On pages 6 through 12 are the questions that you should ask vendors. Some people I emailed this to because a lot of you will contact me on a regular basis and say, what are some questions that I should ask a potential florist? What are some questions I should ask a potential caterer? And I was more than happy to send you those questions. But some of you I haven't heard from until now during the renewal process, so you hadn't got these questions. But these are some questions that you can ask potential vendors that you want to work for you, okay? But I want to bring you to the questions that you need to ask your venue. On page 11, the main questions you want to ask them is how long have you been in business and how much business is dedicated to weddings and special events? What seasons and times are the busiest? Because you want to not book during the busy times because that's when the fees are going to be the highest. Most hotels and convention centers work off a sliding scale. So based on their busy times, they're going to always be on the higher end of that scale. But the less busy times, they can be at the lower end of the sliding scale. So keep that in mind. Can you go over your floor plans with me so you can get an idea of how to set up the rooms? When is the final head count needed, which is generally 72 hours before the event? What is your price range for a seated lunch? What is your price range for a buffet dinner? What is the general site fee? Are tables and chairs included in linen? Is a dance floor included in the site fee? Can we bring our own caterer? That's the main thing I like to know. Is there a fee to use your own vendors? Like if I bring my own DJ, are you guys going to charge me for bringing my own vendor? Is there a wine fee? Is there a cake cutting fee? Is there a bartending fee? I don't know if you remember, but I talked about hotels having a lot of hidden fees. So you want to be very specific as to these questions when you go meet with the coordinators. What is your fee to clean up after the reception? How is overtime calculated? And what is the cost and how is it billed? What is the cost of parking? How much gratuity is expected or customary? What is the ratio of servers to guests? You want one server per 15 guests. How do servers dress for weddings and special events? Usually for weddings and special events, you're going to want them to dress butler style in black suits and white shirts and ties. Are there any music restrictions? Ask them if they have a noise policy, basically. Are you licensed to serve alcohol? Are there any alcohol restrictions? Some facilities don't even allow you to have alcohol. You may have booked the venue and they say you only can have punch and lemonade. Okay, and that's not appropriate for a wedding. People want to have a drink at a wedding. What decorations are available and allowed? A lot of times decorations cannot be hung on the wall, tacked on the wall, nailed on the wall. So you have to think of other options to be able to hang different decor. Is there a changing room available? So if you need to change out of, suits into just regular casual attire. Is there a speaker room or bridal suite available? Maybe you're going to have presenters and you want them to have a little area away from the crowd so that they can rehearse their presentations. Is the location handicap accessible, which is important to know? What is the payment policy? Do you accept credit cards? What is a cancellation policy? Do you have full liability insurance? And are there any perks, specials, or giveaways? So you want to ask these questions, and this is just an example of questions to ask your potential venue, your hotels, your convention centers, your museums, any place you're thinking about having an event. You're actually interviewing them and seeing if they are going to be able to accommodate the kinds of events that you're planning. So you want to ask the right questions, and these questions have helped me for years. On page 13 are your on-site event coordination. On the day of the event, make sure you arrive early. And early is generally 3 to 4 hours early, but it's at least 3 to 4 hours earlier than your first vendor, or no later than an hour earlier than your first vendor. So if my first vendor is going to show up at 12 o'clock, I want to get there at 11. Okay. Stagger your arrival time for the people that are going to be assisting you for your events. I like to, I never have my staff show up at the same time as me. So if my event's at 3 o'clock, I tell them to arrive at maybe 11. but I get there at 10. They get there at 11. And then I have my volunteers get there at 12. And then I have my vendors get there at 1. So then my staff is responsible for my volunteers, and my volunteers are responsible for my vendors. And then I'm in event management mode. So I've delegated to the proper channels so that I'm not running around with my head cut off. So you want to have your staff staggered, because if I have them come at the same time as me and I haven't figured out what all needs to get done, then I'm pretty much in anxiety mode, because I don't know that the signs aren't out yet. I haven't checked the facility yet to see if the bathrooms are stocked with toilet paper. You know, I want to do a full walkthrough so that when my staff gets there, I can tell them exactly what needs to get done. So you always want to get there an hour before them, and definitely an hour before your vendor. Make sure everyone is in the right place and the venue is decorated as agreed. Always give a copy of the program to the program manager, the catering manager, especially if it's a sit-down meal. I like to tell them, hey, we're having lunch at 12. Bring out the salad right at 12. Bring out the entree at 12:30, and bring out the cake at 1:30. Okay, I like to tell them exactly when to bring out the food. And you should always be ready for your events at least 30 minutes to 60 minutes before the event. Don't be in decorating mode and setting up mode an hour before the event, because people come an hour early. So you want to be ready to go an hour before your event. You don't want to just still be getting things together. As far as event organization charts, there is a significant difference between an event planner and an event coordinator. Event planner is the boss. We oversee everything. We create the vision of the event. We recruit coordinators. We negotiate the venues. We negotiate the vendor contracts. And we are the public representative for all the events. So if our client needs to meet with somebody, we usually don't send the coordinator. We are the person that our client is going to see all the time. The event coordinator basically is your assistant, and they prepare your agendas. They help you coordinate and set up appointments for the venues and the vendors. They send out the invitations. They send up the press releases. They do your follow-ups. They send out the handwritten thank you cards. They follow up on the post-event items, and they assist you with the menu. You really want to be focused on the bigger picture of the event, and you'll have them do some of the miscellaneous tasks, but they're your assistant. So it's good to get at least one assistant now that you're in your 2-year mark. Okay. Next, you want to think about attracting and retaining clients. And the number one way to attract and retain clients, first of all, to attract them, you need to get your information out there. You need to get it out on a website. You need to have your business cards out there. You need to give your photographers and DJs your business cards so that they can promote you. Ask them if they put you on their websites. But you need to get out there so that you can attract potential clients. But to retain the clients after you've already done an event, make sure after the event that you follow up with them and give them a follow-up summary. Let them know the strengths and weaknesses of the event, and ask them what other events they have coming up so that you can book yourself. You clearly want to focus, as far as a marketing strategy, you want to focus on your marketing efforts on existing clients. Just shoot them an email, send them a newsletter, make sure they're included in the blogs, make sure they know what you have going on. You know, a newsletter is great if you can do it at least once a month or even quarterly, but be consistent with it. Another marketing strategy is just to keep your word. Follow up on commitments. Be a person of your word. For some reason, that's just gone out the window. So if you say you're going to do something, do it and stick to it. Marketing strategy 4 is to know your clients. So if they have children that play soccer, you know, maybe you want to shoot them an email. Hey, my kid's playing soccer this weekend too, if they are. And, you know, just stay in touch with them. Build relationships with them, just as if you were dating someone. You always want to be excited about it. You always want to stay engaged with them and communicate with them. The same with your clients. They are actually relationships for you. Finally, is to make sure you take more classes. Take more event planning classes, not necessarily through correlations or with me. Make sure you take classes at your local colleges, your local universities, your local Michael's Craft Stores offers event planning, as far as decorating cakes and things of that nature. Your Joann's helps you with picking out fabrics if you're going to be doing more of the design aspects of event planning. But you can do events all the time and learn about doing events by taking more classes in your local area. But I love to learn. I am a natural trainer, so I love to take classes. I love to take other certificate classes just so I can make sure I'm teaching you things that are relevant to event planning. As far as 16, as far as developing your budgets, make sure you write everything down. And these are all the things that you need to write down as far as your budgets are concerned, okay? All the way from tracking the cost of the rental of the facility, all the way to any items of gifts that you're going to be presenting, your favors, but write down everything and put a price next to it, because usually everything costs something. On page 17, if you remember back, if you still have your workbooks, and if you don't have your workbooks, please feel free to contact me. I would be more than happy to email you a copy of the workbook. But in the workbook, we talked about the event planner income. And in the event planner income, these are several things for fundraising, because we don't do bake sales. We don't do car washes unless they really just twist our arm. But we do other forms of fundraising, such as creating an online fundraising page where people can make donations and contributions. We create sponsorship packages, so we send out letters so people can sponsor an event. We sell admission to attend our events. We have auctions at the event to raise money, and we sell raffle tickets. And a good raffle is always that 50-50 raffle. So if we raise $500 in raffle ticket sales, the winner gets half of that, which will be $250. The rest goes towards the charity or the event. So that's a great option. You can sell raffle tickets actually online from the time you promote your event. If you promote it a year out, that's an incredible way to make a whole lot of money for your raffle tickets, instead of just making the people in attendance be the winners. If you don't have to be in attendance to win, you can really stretch your amount of raffle tickets that could be sold. And don't forget, you would get 20% in commissions for all of these different things that you do for your fundraising. Okay. As far as 10 on 18, page 18, is being eco-friendly. And there's no rule of thumb. I've taken green certification classes for becoming an event planner, and it's all the same. It's, one ear out the other. It's all the same. Eco-friendly just means, can the items be reused? Can they be recycled? We're all trying to go green. You just wanted to make sure. A lot of people are going more so with the silk flowers. I still love real flowers because they're biodegradable. But get away from those disposable cameras because you can't recycle them. Get away from the Party City items because you can't recycle those things. Plastic tablecloths, you can't recycle those. You throw them away. I prefer to just get linen fabric to use as my tablecloths if I'm not going to use a linen rental company. There's so many great ways to be eco-friendly. Some of these are choose local companies that produce food. You can pick local shops. You could choose flowers, and you can give those flowers away. Your centerpieces, give them away to guests so that they can take them home and maximize the benefits of those things. So ask yourself if the things that you're having at your event, if they can be recycled. My number one way of moving into being more eco-friendly is to stop serving my drinks, my water in water bottles, and start serving water in pitchers. And so, because everyone doesn't necessarily drink a 12 to 16 ounce bottle of water, so it's a waste. So if you can serve in pitchers, usually in 8 to 10 ounce glasses, usually a person only drinks 1 or 2 glasses of water at an event. So you'll save a lot of money, and you is better than just serving even soft drinks. I like to serve soft drinks in pitchers or those drink dispensers, those lemonade. You can put your own fresh lemons in these clear drink dispensers. So consider doing that instead of, wasting a lot of resources such as the water bottles and the cans of soda. Put them in pitchers and dispensers. But there's so many ways to think about it. But I always ask myself, is this eco-friendly, and is this something that I can reuse? Next, when it comes to page 19, pricing and profits, the average event planner can make anywhere from $25,000 to $85,000 annually. So you would just look, if you're a corporate planner, the average corporate planner median range is going to be $40,000 to $50,000. Okay, an independent event planner can make anywhere for the same amount. Okay, but a lot of event planners that are doing anywhere from 3 to 4 events per week minimum are at a 6-figure range. So you will just have to decide what's best for you. But it's going to take more time to make more money. But corporate planners are around $40,000 to $50,000 a year. On page 20, when it comes to marketing with social media is so important these days. And I'm going to be honest, I'm just starting to get into the whole wave of social media. I've sat through several social media classes and I just get bored to tears because I think I don't understand it. But I do understand if you're going to do social media, you do need to be consistent with it. So you'll want to get on Facebook, Twitter. They say for Twitter, you should do at least 5 to 7 tweets per day. If I get 5 to 7 tweets per week, I'm doing good. So if you really want to get into it, you're going to have to be consistent and do it several times to make sure that you're relevant and that you're trending. Facebook's the same. You know, you want to get at least 5 posts and make them engaging. It doesn't have to be, I woke up and ate cereal, I went to the gym, I did some flowers for a client. It can be a joke. It could be a video. It could be just something just to keep people engaged. You could talk about some things that you have going on in your personal life, but not too personal. Some things professionally, or something regarding your children or your pets, you know, but make it fun, make it engaging, make it something that people would want to see. Blogs are really big. I'm going to be getting into blogs later on this year and try to be consistent with that. I say try. I will be consistent this year and doing at least a blog per month. I can't promise a daily blog. I can't promise a weekly blog, but I will do one per month of something interesting for you. But these are some different things: the newsletters, the Facebook, the Twitter, anything that you can think of, any way that people are seeing your information on the internet is social media. Okay. And then on page 21 is your event portfolio development. And we included that as part of this video. So you can just go back and do a refresher on how to develop your portfolio. But it's just very basic. You just need to find some venues and some vendors and include some of their information. Hopefully we've already reported that you've done 3 to 4 events per year. So that's at least 6 to 8 events that hopefully you've taken pictures from and that you can include in your portfolio. But if you still haven't gotten the experience or the pictures that you really need from your event, make sure you review the video as far as portfolio development. There are only 2 types of event planners, those that are trained and those that are not trained. And the most important things that you need to know as an event planner is the 10 most important things that every event planner should know. Over the years, I've found that a lot of event planners don't know the basics. They've learned from experience and they continue to do the same things that they just did based on what someone else may have shown them. But not too many event planners actually have formal training. So I want to make sure that you have the formal training that you need and you learn at least these 10 things throughout the course. The very first thing you need to do is to define the scope of your event and seek assistance. Okay, for every single event, you need to know, why are you having this event? Is it a social event or is it a corporate event? Social events, you need to know that the main goal is to make sure that the person is celebrated, such as for birthday parties, weddings, and special events. That person needs to be showered with gifts, and the best way to get gifts is to send out invitations. So if you're doing a social event, the way to monitor your success is to make sure that the guest has received the presents and has been celebrated and honored during that event. The way to acknowledge the scope of the event for a charity or a nonprofit organization or a corporate event is to make sure that the client stays under budget, not just within the budget, but under the budget. And then you turn that budget into a return on investment. So if they have a $5,000 budget, you stay within that, and then you try to make means for them to come up with more money from that budget, such as selling tickets and raffles and tables. And we'll talk more about that. But you need to make sure that they are making a profit. Otherwise, they really don't need to have an event unless it's just for a birthday party or social event. Okay, so you need to know why you're having the event, and you need to know, if you're doing a nonprofit event where it's a fundraiser, how much are you seeking to raise? So you need to know in the beginning, am I seeking to raise $100,000, $500,000, $500? You need to know that in the beginning, because that will let you know how to create your plan. You also need to seek assistance, because that means you need someone there. Now, most event planners can plan an event in their homes, at their own leisure, but on the day of, even if you're doing weddings on the day of, you need someone there to assist you, so that if you need someone to run over to Walgreens or CVS, that you can send someone else, but you never want to leave your events. You never want to be frazzled. It's so important to have someone assist you. It's not even necessarily someone that you have to pay. It could be a friend, a spouse, just someone that has the same level of excellence that you have. Okay, so get someone to help you. Number 2 is to create an event budget. Every single event has to have a budget. So even if you've been doing events and you've been doing them for free, you don't have to do them for free anymore. All you have to ask a client is this number 1 magical question is, what is your budget? Can you say it with me? What is your budget? Ask your client what their budget is, and the event planner income is 20% of the client's overall budget. So if they don't have a budget, you don't have an income. Okay, so that question should get a little bit easier as you progress in your career. Number 3 is to locate a venue and reserve it. For every single event, you're going to need a location, and you need to find 10 local venues in your area. Go ahead and scout them out. Look them up online. Find your local convention center, your local hotels, the upscale hotels, the moderate hotels, your museums, your aquariums, your yacht clubs, your golf clubs, your resorts, your wineries. Find different places, at least 10, where you can potentially have an event. Go ahead and meet with the meeting coordinators to get the floor plans, to get the capacity, so you already know that the W can only hold up to 200 people and that they only serve Asian inspired food. You want to get an idea of what their menus are. So if a client wanted to have American food and have it at the W, that's not going to happen because you can only use their caterers. So get an idea what their requirements and policies are at the venue, but go ahead and meet with the meeting coordinators. Another reason why I like to go ahead and find 10 venues instead of meeting with potential clients at your local Starbucks, you can meet with your client at the venue you have in mind. So if you love the local Marriott and you've already visited the Marriott and you've met with Meredith, who's the meeting coordinator, you can let your client know, "Hi Meredith, I would love to have you show my potential clients your facility," and that will make for a more professional image of yourself opposed to actually meeting at a Starbucks. Of course, you also need, once you get your venue, you need to reserve it. If you're planning on having an event anywhere, you need to reserve it. Now, this used to be cumbersome until some event planners were calling around to different hotels. They find that the date is available, and then they'll go ahead and send out their invitations. Just because a date is available and the hotel tentatively holds it for you, that's not your space until you put down a deposit or you've given them a credit card authorization. So don't assume it's your space just because it's available. Make sure you have a contract in place before you start announcing where the event is going to be held. 4 is to create printed materials. The number 1 printed material for any event is going to be an invitation. Now with social media, people have gotten away from just sending out formal invitations in the mail, but don't give up on that. It is the number 1 way to increase attendance, and for social events, people are more likely to attend if they've been formally invited. And even if they don't attend, they still feel the need to send you a gift. So make sure you get invitations sent out in the mail. Other printed materials, or if you are in business, you're going to make sure that you have your business cards, brochures, flyers, and just basic marketing materials. As far as number 5, you want to know the event policies and procedures. Every single event has different policies and have different procedures. If you're doing an event at someone's home, you'll need to know what you can and cannot do in their home. Are you able to completely clear out the space in order to bring in your own materials? Or if for a facility, are you able to use your own caterer, or can you only use their caterer? Can you bring in your own 3-tier cake made by your pastry chef, or do you have to have them make your red velvet cake? What kind of security are you going to need? Do you need to have liability insurance? And I usually get event insurance from Nationwide, Liberty Mutual, State Farm. Just about any of your insurance companies can provide liability insurance for your events. You can get them on an event by event basis, or you can get them over your company as an umbrella policy. If you already have LLC, DBA, you're incorporated, you can get liability insurance just in case somebody decides to swing off the chandeliers or something during your event. You'll be covered. And you need to know any kind of procedures. Mainly if you're doing an event at a hotel facility, you'll need to make sure you know where the loading dock is so that you can bring your materials in through the loading dock. You can't unload in the front door, through the front door. 6 is to plan your event program. Every single event from a children's birthday party needs to have a program, and we consider it a run of show. So your program needs to state, when do you plan to arrive, all the way down to what time do you plan on breaking down and returning the vases that you may have rented from the local florist. Every single minute needs to be accounted for. If you're having raffles drawn at your event, you need to account for the raffles. When is the food going to be served? When do you want the drinks refreshed? I like to account for every single minute. One thing that people remember most is when an event starts late. So make sure you start your events on time and make sure the food is good. That's another thing. If you're serving food, people always remember whether or not the food was great. So those are the two things, whether the event started on time and if the food was any good. Number 7 is to make event arrangements. Those arrangements, once again, are going to be having the security, having the insurance. If it's any kind of outdoor event, you're going to need a permit. You're going to need a permit. You can't get those on the weekend. You're going to need permit for the park, festivals, concerts, anything like that. You also need to consider parking. If you're doing events downtown, I've gone to just about every city in the U.S. and parking in most cities is always horrible. So you'll need to know what kind of parking accommodations are available. Some places don't have parking at all. They don't have any kind of valet service. They have very small garages or just very small parking areas. And you can actually hire your own valet services. And so that's something that you'll want to consider. But any kind of arrangements that you can think of, I definitely like to have the security in place, not just for checking IDs, but I like them surveying the parking lots. I also like them to stand by the bathrooms to make sure that no kind of crazy business is going on in the bathrooms, drugs, sex, anything like that. Make sure you just have these things in place, okay? As far as 8, make sure you market your event. A lot of event planners don't realize that you are responsible for marketing the event. Marketing is when even a client gives you the guest list. Make sure that you follow up on that guest list at least 72 hours before the event to get a firm head count. And if you're doing a public event where you're not sure exactly how many people are going to attend, make sure that you check back on your 1% response rate. So you'll need to send out thousands and thousands of letters and flyers and emails in order to kind of gauge your response rate, which is generally 1% rule of thumb, okay? But market your event. And 9 is hold your event. It goes without saying that you don't want to cancel your event. And a lot of times there's reasons to cancel for earthquakes and tornadoes and things of that nature. But just canceling because you think it's going to be a poor attendance is a bad decision. Always hold your events. I've had corporations that have asked me to cancel events because they were afraid that they just did not get the attendance that they were expecting. And on the day of, they would be surprised to see so many people show up. The main people that are concerned about RSVPs are event planners. So don't be concerned if you're not getting the number of RSVPs. You need to make sure you pick up the phone and start calling people. And if it's a public event and you're not sure if they're going to attend, make sure you invite the media, and the media will help you market your event as well. But make sure you hold that event. 10 is to follow up on any post-event items. Post-event items are going to be your comment cards and your survey cards. Make sure you get those so that you can always improve your events. And finally, just my little bonus is to always have your event box. My event box, because I love Jennifer Lopez's the movie Wedding Planner, and she'd open up her suit jacket and she'd have scissors and tape and ink pens. And until I started planning events, I didn't realize how realistic that was. You want to make sure you have everything you possibly can. I'm just going to point out a couple things. Definitely the scissors and tape. But make sure you have a calculator. I started off very naive, and I was not calculating gratuity and tax and service fees. If a hotel told me it was $300, I just took it at their word. But they added corkage fees if they're having to open wine for you, cake cutting fees. Make sure you have your calculator, okay? And any other basic office supplies or toiletries. Now, this has also been a lifesaver. It's called Intercell, and it's a battery operated charger. So there's times when you're not going to be able to find an electric socket and you need to charge your phone, because we all have these smartphones now that just die after one watching of a YouTube video. So make sure you have that, because clients are going to want to call you, and it's always when your phone's about to die. So make sure you have an intercell. But the basic thing is to have a travel box that you can take with you, and it's your event box, and it's everything that you need. Okay. And then going on, the next page, it definitely covers the budget breakdown worksheet. Now, this is just for you. I have a much easier way to create a budget for a client. Just customize it, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's right here. Okay. So that's just for you. So you'll have it, but that's the number one reason event planners get hired, is to do timelines, budgets, and agendas. Okay. And then number 12 is just page 12 is just the Murphy's Law. If anything can go wrong in an event, it will go wrong. So be prepared and don't be hard on yourself. My biggest flaw is that I am a perfectionist. I always want things to go great, but I have to prepare. Sometimes I don't have any control on the fact that the banquet hall flooded, or maybe it was too hot, the air conditioning went out, maybe it was too cold, the heating systems went out. So don't beat yourself up, but you do want to brainstorm. If it is an outdoor event, you want to brainstorm, how can we make the event, enclose the event with an outdoor insulated tent, or how can we bring the event indoors? That the cake does not look the way the client wants on the day. Ultimate cake, which is just a cake decorated, a fondant decorate on top of styrofoam, and you can pick up that cake a week before your event, and so you don't have to worry about it, because just in case your cake doesn't turn out the way you want, you still have a backup plan. So anything that you can think of, you'll need a backup plan for. That's when you want to start thinking about it in the very beginning. So Murphy's Law is very common, and it's just something that I want you to consider making a plan B for all of your events. Okay. This is my favorite part. This is the event planner income, and it's so important to me to deliver it to you, because it's the area that most event planners struggle in. The reason why they struggle in it is because no one has taught them or even shared with them how much to price for their services. And it's not a secret to me. I'm an open book. You can ask me any question and I'll give you the information, because my goal is for you not to make the same mistakes that I made. I've been planning events for over 12 years, and I've been getting paid to plan them for 8. So 12 minus 8 means 4 years I didn't get paid, but I could have if I had known how much to charge. I just knew I loved planning events, so I did them for free. You know, friends would say, I want to do a baby shower or a special event, and I just jump right on in. And even if it cost me having to buy favors and cake and different things to make sure the event was a success, I did it, and you may have too. So I just don't want that to happen to you. So as far as the event planner income, it is 20% of the overall budget. Okay. Next are booth space sales. So if you've ever gone to a career fair or a trade show or a bridal show, you've seen someone selling tables, or maybe you just seen someone, a Bank of America, selling their checking services at a 6-foot table. Well, they pay to participate in these events, and they pay anywhere from $500 to $2,500 to participate in this event. The event planner is the one that's responsible for selling the tables to them. So you would get 20% of the total amount of tables sold for the event, a career fair, trade shows, all of those wonderful events. You'd also, if you're going to do a fundraiser and you're selling tables, a table of 10 for 100 people, or $100 per seat, however many tables or seats that you've sold, you would get 20% of the tables sold, okay? Next is a ticket sale. So if you're selling tickets for an event, maybe it's the $295 registration or $595 registration, or maybe just a $10 ticket charge at the door. However many tickets or however many registrations have been sold, you would get 20% of the total number of tickets sold. Okay. All of these, you'll see a running theme. They are all considered commissions. In addition to the budget, you can bring in these commissions. So if a client says, I have a very small budget, that's fine. Would it be okay if we sold tickets? Would it be okay if we sold booth tables? And you'll go on and on about additional things that you can bring into the event. Once you bring in these things to the event, you'll be responsible of managing those things. And so that's why you're charging the 20% fee. Sponsorships, I'm not sure if you're familiar with sponsorships, but sponsorships are simply just sending out a letter. We have a letter in your workbook, so you can flip onto, the page that says sponsorships, and it shows you a template of the letter that you can send out, and it's a 1% response rate. So basically, however many sponsors you're looking to get, you would need to send out thousands of letters, but I prefer to use press release. I can use PR Newswire or prweb.com. And at the bottom of my press release, I'll say we are accepting vendors and sponsors. And so I would rather have sponsors contacting me instead of me doing a lot of legwork trying to find sponsors. But you would get 20% of the total number of sponsorships, and usually title sponsors contribute as much as $10,000. So if you sold just 5 sponsorships, that's 20% of $50,000. So that's a pretty sizable income. Donations, if you're doing political events or you're doing charity events and you're accepting donations, you would get 20% of the total amount of donations raised. Merchandise is basically just selling t-shirts, even going as far as just nachos and sodas or water. However much merchandise has been sold at the event, you would get 20% of the merchandise sold. Some clients even go so far as, or event planners go so far as, to charge for items that they have donated. So if you've gotten a television from Best Buy donated and its value is $1,500, you could charge the client 20% of the actual value of that television, which I think is penny pinching, but some event planners do it, and so it's important that I tell you that. Raffle tickets, if you're going to sell raffle tickets, maybe you can get that roll of raffle tickets that you've seen at different party stores or your local Walmart or Target, and you can sell 10 raffle tickets for $5, and you can win a gift card to Olive Garden or American Express gift card. You can sell raffle tickets. They're really fun. People would love to win something at events. Auction, those I love the black tie auctions with the silent auctions. You would get 20% of the total amount of things that were auctioned off. Ad programs, a lot of recitals, a lot of schools, when they're raising money, they sell ad programs. You would get 20% of the total amount of ads sold. And anything else you could think of, it will be part of the income for the 20%. Now, what's not included in this workbook is there's a total of 4 ways to get paid as the event planner. One way is 20%. I generally charge 20% when my clients have a budget of $10,000 or more, okay? The second way I will charge, or you can consider charging, is $60 an hour. And that's just pretty much the same as what a project manager would get paid, and now they get paid as much as $125, which you can charge as well. But it just generally standard is $60 an hour, and you'll need to use a billing software, and I would suggest Sage Time Slips. Sage Time Slips is a way to track every single 15-minute increment that you're working on an event. So if you're going to spend an hour doing venue tours, if you're going to spend another hour doing cake tastings, another hour meeting with caterers, looking for a DJ, you can account for every single minute that you're working on that event. And the best thing about Sage Time Slips is you're able to print out a report for your client. Now, you don't have to use Sage Time Slips because I think it's a free trial and then there is a monthly fee associated with it. You can simply just type up your time in Excel and track your time that way. But a client wants to know how they're spending that money for your hours. The third way to get paid as an event planner is going to be flat fees and packages. And so if you'll pull out the Atlanta event planning, this is packages set up for a wedding planner, but I want you to think of it in regards to as an event planner. And weddings, they're pretty much just glorified events, so it's the same thing. If you'll look, they charge $195 for a basic consultation. A consultation should be free and it should be done over the phone, but they do theirs in person. They try to wine and dine you, but you should just do yours on the phone, complimentary, and I'll show you their exact consultation. The consultation helps a client create a realistic budget. You help them with the timeline, which is the same timeline that's in your workbook. You assist them in deciding on a theme. Themes can simply be logo colors or your client's favorite colors. It doesn't have to be carnival theme or Mickey Mouse theme. You help provide them with any vendors that you have, your caterers, your videographers, your DJs, and you recommend any questions that they should consider asking those vendors. And you just answer any questions they have about the entire planning process. So like I said, I'll show you an actual consultation. Next is a day of coordination package. So if you're going to be doing weddings, you're going to want to meet with your clients at least 2 weeks before the event so that you'll get an idea of what they expect from you on the day of the event. But if you're doing weddings, you need to plan to be there for the rehearsal dinners the night before, just so you get a chance to meet with the families and their personalities, because it's not the planning that's going to be the hard part, it's the personalities that you're going to have to deal with that I would like you to get used to the night before. The day of coordination package is $695. I break my packages down as a basic package. So my basic package would be something similar to the day of coordination. It's just me showing up and helping, making sure the vendors arrive on time, and just I'm there for them on the day of the event so they can enjoy the event. If you'll draw a line down between the day of coordination and the all-inclusive package, I created a traditional package, which includes some of the things from the day of coordination and some of the things from the all-inclusive package as your traditional package for $14.95. Okay, and then the all-inclusive packages is $24.95, which includes everything. So from start to finish, you're going to plan your client's event. You'll just pretty much just update them on things that you're doing. But other than that, this is a busy, wealthy professional that says, hey, I trust you, go for it. We look forward to the event. Okay. And those are usually my favorite clients because they're not micromanaging you. They trust that you can do what you said you can do. And so those are your basic packages, and you should only charge for package fees if a client has a budget under $10,000. Okay. The other page is just general information for you, the difference between an event planner and an event coordinator. Okay. And then I want to share the fourth way to get paid as the event planner is through your preferred vendors. Now, a lot of people don't realize, because they're trying to do everything on their own, because in the beginning, I tried to do everything on my own. I set up the event, I take pictures of my own event, I go get the food and refreshments instead of hiring a caterer, because I just didn't feel like I could afford it. And I had such, people with such limited budgets, or it was events I was doing for free, that I just didn't have the money to just invest in vendors. But what I did know was the vendors were actually helping build my portfolio. Your vendors will actually act as your free sales force, so to speak. So let's take my photographer, for example. She'll charge me basically $150, and her packages start at $2,400 to $4,000 a package. Now, I got her straight out of school, so she was just building her portfolio, but now she still charges me the same fee. But my clients will tell me, hey, I can't afford your photographer, and I'll ask them what their budget is. Now, after seeing that her budget is $2,400 on the website, they all have already ruled her out. And so I'll ask them what their budget is, and they'll say, maybe we can come up with $1,000, and that's fine. I take the $150, pay her. The remaining part goes into my business. She also recommends me to her clients when they see the images of the event. She'll say, you should contact Helena to do your events. And so it's a win-win. I get paid the difference, and she promotes me. So meet with your vendors. I want to recommend that you find a photographer, a videographer, DJ, a caterer, a florist, a pastry chef. Meet with them. You don't ask them for a discount. Absolutely not. The first thing you do is book them at their regular fee. And if it works out, then you'll ask them, hey, I really had a great time doing the event with you, but I know that a lot of my clients won't have this particular budget. What would be the minimum that you'd be willing to work with? Or is there a percentage that we could discount for potential clients that I send your way? And try to work out something that way. But you never want to ask anyone for a discount, because you won't want anybody approaching you that you have never worked with asking you for one. So let's treat our vendors fairly. But it's an absolute great way for your fourth source of income. Okay. Finally is your event planner salary. So some of you are not even taking this class to learn about starting your own business. Some of you are taking this class because you want to know how much you should get paid at your job. The average start off meeting coordinator gets paid anywhere from $28,000 to $34,000. So that's entry level. The next stage is just going to be the meeting coordinator or sales coordinator. They'll call it different things, mainly sales or marketing coordinators, or just plain event planner within a convention center or a hotel, and they'll get paid anywhere from $38,000 to $46,000. Now, your directors of sales and catering can get paid anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000. So you can just work your way right on up into being the director of sales and catering, and hopefully get to that 75 plus. And then they'll start getting on a commission based on the amount of rooms that they book at the hotels and facilities. So that's a general price range that you want to stay within. You know, you usually don't come out asking for $100,000 as an event planner, or even $60 an hour is usually going to be around $20 to $24 an hour if you're looking for an event planning job. As at least 3 years of experience, entry level is going to be about anywhere from $12 to $16 an hour. Okay, and then I want to show you the consultation. The consultation, the sheet. Just make sure that you go through this consultation with your client. Make sure you include their full name, address, phone numbers, website, all their general contact information, because I like to send them a thank you card just for inquiring about my service. Maybe they won't book me right then, but who sends a thank you card just for inquiring about a service? That's going to be your seed. So you want to plant as many seeds as possible, because when they do get the money to book you, they'll call you. Okay. So let's be as cordial as possible to everyone that inquires about our service. So I like to send them a thank you card, but if they didn't send you or give you their physical mailing address, because people have been very secretive about that when they don't know you, at least send them a thank you email. Okay. The first thing you want to know is, what is the event, and who is this event for? Is it for your family member, your spouse, co-worker? You want to know who's coming to the event and how are they going to get there. The really sensitive subject is, will children be in attendance? And if so, how many and their ages? And what accommodations do you want made for the children? And provide any absolutes, like what don't you want at this event? Normally I'll ask clients, what do you want at the event? And they'll say, I just want it to be great. I want it to be fabulous. I want it to be the event of the century, but that hasn't told me anything. But if I ask them, what don't you want? They'll say, I don't want pork. I don't want all white linen. I don't want a lot of splashes of color. Once I create the list of all the things they don't want, I get a better idea of what I can provide for them. And then I even ask them for an image. I ask them to send me an image of an event that they attended that they really enjoyed, or an image from Google of an event that they saw on the internet that they really liked, that impressed them, so I can get a sense of their style. Okay. And then now we go into the budget. What is your budget? And you want to ask, what is their budget per person? Okay. And then you'll just go through all of these items for your consultation. How much do you want to spend on food? How much do you want to spend on beverages? How much you want to spend on transportation? You just go through all of these items and then you write down how much that they want to spend on these things. But I want to give you some actual numbers so that you're looking for vendors to stay within this price range, because this is a pretty universal price range I'm going to give you. For food, you want to stay within $25 to $85 per person. $25 is your box lunches, your buffets, and your brunch. An average meal for dinner is going to be $35. A seated meal for dinner is going to include an entree or soup or salad. Okay, but a more exquisite meal such as veal, filet mignon, lamb, or lobster tails can cost as much as $85. So you want to stay within this price range depending on what type of event it is. As far as desserts, if you're going to get a specialty cake or a cake shaped like a Louis Vuitton purse or a 3-tier or 4-tier wedding cake, you want to budget at least $6 to $10 per slice for the cake. And then usually the cakes have 100-person minimums for the orders. So $600 to $700 plus for a basic cake, okay, or a beautiful cake, so to speak. Cupcakes are going to be budgeted at $3 per cupcake, and I like to have 2 cupcakes per person because some people want more than one. Okay, so they're not always a cheaper option. And then if you're going to have like those dessert tables that have the candy bars where you can scoop out as much candy and put in the favor bags, those are usually $5 to $7 per person, just depending on the kind of candies that you want in your dessert table. Beverages, if you're going to be serving water and soft drinks, you want to budget $5 per person for soft drinks, and then $15 per person if you're serving beer and wine. If you're serving premium vodkas, it's just going to range. It's going to range anywhere from $12 per drink. We like to average that the average person will drink 2 glasses of wine, 2 cans of beers, so pretty much 2 cocktails, however you want to do that. But the basic number right there will at least be $15 for 2 drinks. Audiovisual, put a placeholder of $500. Audiovisual can go as much as $14,000 plus, but put a placeholder of $500. Floral, anywhere from $50 to $300 for a floral centerpiece. Linen is going to be $10 per person for the chair covers and the sashes, the linen napkins, the runners, the tablecloths, $10 per person. Decor, just basic decor. I learned my style from St. Regis W Intercontinental. It's very sophisticated, very simple. It's floral centerpieces, votives, few splashes of colors with linen napkins, but it's not Party City. Party City can be very expensive and it can be gaudy and it's not recyclable. So you may grab a few things from Party City, but don't grab the whole row of everything, luau theme, bachelorette theme, country theme. Grab a few of those items and just expand on colors, but don't try to expand on the whole thing because it's just too much, okay? But put $250 for decor. Entertainment, $250 for entertainment. I use gigmasters.com. That's gigmasters.com. I could find a local acoustic player. I could find a pianist, a violinist, a live band, a hypnotist, a magician, a clown, a face painter, just about any kind of gig you can think of, at least for a 15 to 30 minute slot. You can get them for $250. Of course, you need more time, you'll have to spend more money. And the average DJ is going to start at anywhere from $600 to $800 for 3 to 4 hours of playtime. You can spend as much as $1,200 to $1,500 for a DJ. But if I'm going to spend $1,200 or $1,500 for a DJ, I definitely want them spinning and mixing records. I don't want them just plugging in their iPod or iPad or anything like that. Photography is going to be very... It can range. It just ranges on the relationship that you have with a photographer. It could be anywhere from $150 to $4,000, just depending on who the photographer is and how much they're going to charge you. But it's one of the most important vendors that you're going to need. So you will need to build that relationship right away. And you can start right now with someone in cinema photography in college because they're anxious and eager to start building their portfolio, and they'll work with your budget. So definitely get a photographer right away. And invitations anywhere from $1 to $10 per invitation, and transportation at $100. And that's just one way in a sedan, even a luxury sedan, a Lexus, Mercedes, from the airport to the hotel. So if you're having to pick up a speaker, or if you're wanting a ride, or if you're having to pick up a couple, you can just budget $100. But if you need a limousine, that's going to be anywhere from $600 to $1,000. You have to block out 3 to 4 hours of time. You can get a Rolls Royce, Bentley, and all of those really jazzy vehicles, and they're going to cost you jazzy fees anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 to rent those things, even the Hummer SUV limousine. Make sure you always include gratuity and tax. So if anytime food is served, even if it's just cupcakes, the hotel or wherever you're having the food, they're going to charge you a gratuity if there's more than 6 people involved. And usually it takes more than 6 people to have an event. Then you ask your client the date, time, and location of the event. Going on to the next page. Ask them how do they want to publicize the event. How do they want their family and friends to find out about the event? Maybe they want their family and friends to receive an invitation. Maybe want the customers to get an email, and then the public to basically see it on the website. And then right there, you're done. The rest of this sheet is just creating a planning timeline, and that's for you. So once they book you, you want to make sure you start thinking about the timeline and have that ready for them along with these other things. But when you're done with your consultation, I want you to close with this question. I'm so excited. This sounds like a great event. Is there any reason we couldn't get started today with a $200 deposit? And then you're quiet and let them give you a reason. Normally the reason is I have to speak to someone else about it, or maybe I need to only get paid on the 15th and 30th. I don't have any money right now to do it. But get a reason. You're not asking a yes or no question. You're asking, why not? Let's go ahead and do this. And then be excited when they say, sure, that's all, no problem. And then you'll need to have a means for collecting the money. And of course you can collect it in a money order or cash, but to do it over the phone, I prefer to send a PayPal invoice. But you could also if you have the squares for your phone, you can input their credit card information on the squares. But make sure you go ahead and lock them in, and that's just to block your time. So that concludes everything for the event planner income, which is, like I said, is my favorite part. And you also have your contract. You have a copy of a contract. The event planning service agreement, you have this copy, is just for you. So once they go ahead and book you, you have a contract that you can refer back and forth to. So make sure you read this, go ahead and type it up and be ready to send it out to potential clients. Make sure you review it, but this is your template. So you don't have to figure out what should I include in my event planner contract. You can Google event planner contracts and you just won't find a good one. So this one is for you. It's a template that was created by our own attorneys. So that's for you. And then finishing up for the first part of our workbook is towards 21 is booking speakers. When you're booking a speaker, make sure you know what their audio visual requirements are. Okay, do they need an extra chair on the stage, a flip chart, a podium? Do they need the projector screens? And then make sure you don't trust them on what they're going to say. Make sure that they give you an outline of talking points that they're going to be covering for their event. Okay, and that concludes that part. The portfolio is going to be your biggest investment of time and development. Most event planners can do a portfolio within 1 to 2 weeks. And you may be asking, how can I do a portfolio if I have absolutely no experience? The very first thing that you're going to want to do in order to get your portfolio done is to go ahead and find your venues and find some vendors. And that will be your start for your portfolio. So I have an example from one of our former interns, and all she did on her cover sheet was included her logo. Inside is her bio. Okay, so 50% of your portfolio is going to be your bio. If you don't know anything about events yet, at least you know who you are, but it needs to be written strategically. In your first paragraph, you're going to write it either in a first person or third person. I'm going to write it in first person if I'm doing social events. And just so you know, events are broken into 2 areas, social events and corporate events. So if I'm doing social events and I'm doing birthday parties and weddings, people want to know who I am am as a person. So I may start it off with saying, I knew I always wanted to be an event planner ever since I planned my first strawberry shortcake birthday party when I was 7. And then I'll go into just talking a little bit about myself. I have 3 dogs, a daughter, I'll just tell them about who I am. If you're doing a corporate event and you're looking to be a corporate event planner, you're going to write it in the third person, as far as Meredith Smith graduated cum laude from St. Louis University. She went on to get her certification in event planning. You're going to talk about, if you've gone to school, the accomplishments that you made from graduation on to maybe you were served as vice president or president of a different organization. You want to include accomplishments, because that's what corporate wants to see. They want to see results. So make sure that if you have graduated, if you have made any kind of awards or honors or anything like that, that's included in your first paragraph. Okay. Your second paragraph should address a problem. It addresses a problem and you are the solution. For instance, it's so hard to find a venue in Atlanta where everyone hasn't already had an event. It's nothing really custom or special about the venues here in Atlanta. But I've found some of the hidden gems in the city that make any event charming. Everyone hasn't been there, and I would like to introduce you to these venues. So that was a problem, and by working with me, I become the solution for my client. Or maybe the problem can be, I haven't found vendors that work well together. But most people have that problem, but I have found some vendors that come together like a puzzle piece and they create a great picture together. So instead of trying to find your own vendors, work with me and I'll give you the right vendors that create the masterpiece you want. So you create a problem and then you're the solution. And it should really be a problem as to why you became an event planner. I became an event planner because I saw that other event planners weren't very detailed. The ones that I wanted to hire to do my seminars, they weren't very detailed. They weren't very organized. They weren't very proactive. They didn't communicate well. And so I became that solution, and that's why I'm an event planner. So it should be a genuine problem, and you are that solution. So think about, why did I decide I want to be an event planner? And you create the solution for that. The third paragraph needs to basically just tell them why they should hire you. You should hire me because I work well under pressure. You should hire me because I don't mind the tedious details that are included in events. You can hire me because I'm your one-stop shop. You don't have to look any further. I'll find all the vendors and everyone that you need to execute your events. So why should they hire you? Okay. So that's your first page, is going to be your bio. The second, or the next few pages, are going to be images of one of the venues that you've selected. And then a menu. So remember how I said the W only has Asian inspired food? Well, your menu from this venue has different foods of Italian food, but you're not able to bring in your own caterer. So it's good to know what kind of food options are available at that venue. And then here's some more. Another venue and their pictures. So even though you don't have any experience, you do have a sense of style, and you're showing your potential clients your sense of style. So you now have pictures for your portfolio. So you have that facility and their menu selection. You have another facility. And then at this particular facility, you can bring in caterers, but only these licensed caterers. So you could do your research, but you'll have a broader option of who to bring in for the event. The next page would include your packages. But even if you're not going to charge flat fees and packages, and you decide, I just want to do 20%, or I want to charge $60 an hour, it doesn't matter. Just include what your services are that you offer, and then put at the very bottom just a general price range of what you can offer for your events. And then finally, you want to put images of your vendors, your photographers' images, your makeup artists' images, your caterers' images, your pastry chefs' images, and that will at least get you started with something. It's more like an expanded version of a brochure, but it shows a client more of what you are. Basically, brochures say, I can do this, I can do that, but if you haven't done that yet, it really isn't a good representation of you. But a portfolio says, I'm getting started, and this is my style, and I hope our styles mesh together. So this will at least get you started. Like I said, you can do it in 1 to 2 weeks. If you're doing this 6-week course, of course, you only have this 1 week to complete it. So make sure it's the best, make sure it's visually appealing, and just compose the top few vendors vendors and the top few venues that you've selected, and you'll at least have a good portfolio. If you think you are beaten, you are. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you'd like to win but think you can't, it's almost a cinch. You won't. If you think you'll lose, you've lost. For out in this world we find success begins with the fellow's will. It's all in the state of mind. If you think you're outclassed, you are, for you have to think high to rise. You have to be sure of yourself before you can ever win a prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but sooner or later, the man who wins is the one who thinks he can. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to review this video and joining me on this event planning journey. I will be with you every step of the way. Do not hesitate to email me anytime at helena.paschal@correlationsllc.com. I don't disappear. I want to be here to continuously encourage you, answer questions that you have. So I really want to wish you the best of success. Keep me posted on your success. I would love to share one of your stories as my testimonial for any kind of classes that I have coming up. So thank you so much for choosing Correlations for your event planning training.